Hi, good evening. This is Dr. KDELs. I'm the lead coach for KD Leadership. This brief 15-minute broadcast will be working on change management at its best. So I want to welcome you warmly to today's presentation from KDE Leadership. We've heard it said that the only constant thing in life is change. I want to add on to that by saying that change can be triggered by a myriad of life events. In business, particularly, change can be triggered by customer requirements, technological requirements, the business environment, competition, and of course, employee requirements. There are other human aspects of change, and these are the most difficult to manage. We're going to start today by trying to understand organizational change, how to initiate it, some of the current characteristics that leaders must have in order to be change agents, how to facilitate change, how to communicate for change, and some of the strategies that are available for sustaining change. We're also going to look at how to deal with resistance to change. As we begin to review how to initiate change, it's important to realize that you've got to communicate the need for change as soon as the need for change is recognized. If you're trying to bring change within your organization, for instance, you've got to first communicate to the people, your stakeholders, that there's a need for change. You need to go ahead to address what exactly the upcoming change will be, and its probable effects on stakeholders, employees, clients, and vendors. You have to also address the fear of the unknown, because the people you're talking to are likely to have some sort of anxiety over the unknown that is coming into their professional lives. You also have to be conscious of the anticipated learning curve occasioned by the change. Normally, it's understood that when change comes, it's expected to bring with it a dip in productivity. This initial dip in productivity is a result of people learning the rudiments of the change or the new process. However, after this change is successfully navigated, as this phase is successfully navigated, productivity is again expected to increase once your people begin to master the new process. As part of the change rollout, you've got to be willing to delegate authority. This enables your delegates to have ownership of the tasks that are assigned to them, which also improves their expertise or their competence levels in providing those services. You have to collaboratively create achievable milestones. Now, because people are involved in deciding the little chunks of work that will constitute the entire project, they're willing to work with you. So you have to involve them in that planning phase for the different milestones involved. Next, you move from planning to implementation, and you continue with that same mindset of collaboration and open and constant communications. Let's look at a few characteristics that change leaders must have. First, you must exhibit what is called situational leadership. You must be able to flex. With this leadership style, you become willing to do whatever your team members need you to be, so they can maximize their productivity for you and for the team. You've got to have the optimism and the energy to do this and have what is called positive intent. Because your body language and the way you lead your people goes a long way in fueling their enthusiasm to get the job done, I like to add that in order to do that, you've got to have a mindset to do things in the moment. Let's talk about that a little bit. Doing things in real time. I have an acronym I use called DIRT, D-I-I-R-T. Do it in real time. Basically, whatever task or activity that you can get done in a short time, say 30 minutes or less, determined to get it done immediately. Leave whatever you're doing and get that done immediately. Your leaders and your teams are looking for end results. They're not looking for the narrative, reasons why it wasn't done. They're looking for the end result. So make up your mind to be optimistic, to be energetic, to be positive, and to focus on delivering results as quickly as possible. The next trait the leader must have is the ability to withstand criticism. Of course, we all know it's not in our nature to accept criticism willingly and openly. But as a leader and manager, this is something worth working on. You should be able to withstand any attacks without letting it get personal, without internalizing the feedback. You need to have the wisdom as well to reflect, to recharge, know when to rest, to step away a little bit, and to get your mind back in focus. And then finally, as a leader, you've got to be able to envision and execute the upcoming change with your stakeholders. Now, there are a few change facilitation styles that I'm going to be focusing on today. We'll look at 3 styles. The first one is the initiator. The second one is the manager. And the third one is the responder. The initiator, as a facilitator, has a clear vision of the organization. He or she sees the big picture. The initiator is the one who has a bird's eye view, who sees everything. They may not know the nuts and bolts involved in getting things done, okay? The manager is the person who focuses on organizing and running the organization smoothly. The manager is the one who does the work, who sees the bigger picture on a short term. The responder, on the other hand, focuses on current concerns and perceptions. The responder is more of a reactor. Now, this brings us to communicating for change. For you change experts out there, I'm going to quote from Cotter and Cohen, who advocate that people need to be shown something that addresses their anxieties, their anger, and that is credible in every sense to evoke in them faith in the vision. Once you begin to bring about change, people are going to become anxious about their future, about their level of performance, about their expectations. There's so many things that they are anxious about. As a change leader, you've got to communicate in such a way to address those feelings. Your communication should be simple and sincere. You can embrace new technologies that can help your members quickly visualize the prescribed changes. What I'm saying here is that words and deeds must be consistent. It's not just enough to say what you want to do, but you have to be able to do it so you can encourage others along with you. You must set the example through daily actions that demonstrate that you're deeply committed to the change. So let's dive a little bit into how to sustain change. Now you've brought change about. Your job as a leader is to keep it there and to grow it. Remember that change can be fragile. And because it's fragile, making it stick can be very difficult and could result in wasted efforts if you don't manage it well. So how do you manage change well? You want to enable others to take leadership, to take ownership by enhancing their competence, by listening to their ideas, and by involving them in important decisions. You're not diluting your leadership by doing that. In fact, you're enhancing your leadership by bringing people along to collaboratively make decisions. For example, you can hold monthly departmental level meetings where the management and employees can review performance against the vision of the organization. In this kind of setting, ideas can be freely exchanged at all levels, from all levels. And every idea, every good idea, is going to receive equal consideration. Whenever change comes, resistance to change accompanies it. That's normal. People are happy in their sweet spot. It's taking them some years to get comfortable with the way things are done. So bringing change destabilizes them. And some of them are going to resist the change and therefore resist you. Don't take it personally. Resistance to change is an attempt by the system and the people involved in the system to balance itself in the face of a threat. That threat is against their deeply ingrained values and ways of doing things, ways of operating. There are several reasons for resistance as well. It could be self-interests of the stakeholders. It could be misunderstandings. It could be low tolerance for change, or just different assessments of the situation. You can, however, overcome change resistance through educating your people, through communications, through involvement, through facilitation, and by providing support. And then, of course, you can negotiate with people in order to get them to reduce or to minimize the resistance to the upcoming change. Other strategies you can use should include integrating your team members to envision the change, constantly and openly communicating with them, and encouraging them to actively participate in the change execution process. Remember, you've done the planning. It's time to do the execution. The way you involve them in the planning stage, you should also involve them in the execution stage. And then in doing that, you should, of course, provide full human resource, technical and moral support to whoever that needs it, so they can jump on board and stay in the new change initiative. So, in closing, I want to say thank you so much for joining me today to look at a few key points about change, bringing about change, implementing change, and sustaining change. I'll be looking forward to seeing you in the next event. And before I close, I'll be sharing with you a summary of what we'll discuss today. You can initiate change by addressing the fear of the unknown. You can be situational by being whatever people want you to be in order to get them to give you 100% commitment. You can facilitate change by influencing your stakeholders and leading them through the visioning, planning, implementing, execution, and change sustenance stages. You can communicate change simply, sincerely, and by example, by modeling. You can sustain change by keeping at it and by freely exchanging ideas and considering everybody's ideas. And you can reduce resistance to change by greasing the skids, by providing full human resource, technical, and moral support. Having said that, I want to ask you to join me next week. We have another topic we're going to be discussing on Friday, June the 9th, 7 p.m. Eastern. And that topic is doing more with less, budgeting amidst scarcity. And of course, you can always connect with me on LinkedIn so you can keep receiving those notifications for the upcoming events. Having said that, I also want to say that there's a new leadership book out there that I just authored. It's called Big Dreams, Making It Happen for Organizations and Teams. You can find this on Amazon. The book encapsulates everything we'll be talking about over the next couple of months, such as change, delegation, leadership, project management, team dynamics, and sustaining productivity in virtual environments. KD Leadership will also be hosting a 3-day virtual leadership conference in the month of July. More details on that as we go on. Until then, I'll see you again next week. Take care, and thanks for joining me. Bye for now.